Hello, movie nerds, and welcome back to Cinematic Sarcastic, the podcast that talks all things movies and television. I'm Natalie, and I'm your host. Okay, all right, you guys know, you have to know that on today's episode, we are going to talk about Dune Part 2. Clearly, that is where we are going. You guys must be in the theater, probably. I will try to keep this spoiler free because I definitely don't want to give anything away. I think that Dune deserves that at the very least. So I just got back from the theater watching the second Dune, and I needed to sit down and just record this episode as soon as possible so that everything is fresh in my mind. I don't even know how to put it into words. I am blown away. I enjoyed part one. I thought that Dune Part 1 was very good. I thought it was a fairly faithful adaptation of the novels. I was expecting to go into Part 2 and enjoy it as much as I enjoyed the first one, but I was not expecting to go into it and enjoy it significantly more. There were a few moments in the movie where, and this is going to sound really crazy, but where it almost felt like watching like something dirty. Like it almost felt like you weren't meant to be watching it, because I feel like Villeneuve just did such a wonderful job that there is not a single aspect of this movie where you can't just feel his passion for the project and his just love of the subject material. And I think that it really just like the costume design. And I will absolutely say that I am a hoe for some costuming. Like if you do a movie and the movie maybe isn't that great, but the costume design or the set design or the cinematography is, really amazing, sometimes you can win me over. And in part 2 of Dune, like the costume design it's just so incredible. It's amazing what they were capable of doing with this film. And I think after so many years of watching movies come out, especially within the last couple of years, where the majority of what we're getting are like remakes, reboots, live actions of things that we already liked before, I think that it's missing that spark, right? And audiences can tell that that spark is missing. And I think that that spark, that thing that drove us to the theater in the first place, was just that the people that were making the films were so passionate about them, right? Like it was an art form, and movies should be an art form. That is what it is, right? It's a passion project. Nobody goes, yes, there is money to be made there, but if you look at like the underdogs, right? The little people, the grips and the sound guy and the people that are doing production design, they're not making millions of dollars the way that the actors are and the way that sometimes the directors are. They're there because they love that project and they love what they're working on. And I think that that shows through in movies like Dune Part 2. Just the attention to detail and the attention to everything. There is not a grain of sand that is shot in a bad light. Like you can just feel how much love went into it. And the story is great. I, of course, have always really enjoyed the movies. I know that Villeneuve is working on Dune Messiah, but I think that he's come out a couple of times now and said, he absolutely does not want to rush it. Like, bow down to the master. I will not rush that man. You take as much time as you need, sir, to give us Dune Messiah, and I will show up. It has been a long time, I feel like, since I have seen a movie that I enjoyed as much. It is an experience. I really would pressure everyone, if you have the ability to see it in theaters, because it's just stunning. I'm very excited at the same time to be able to sit at home and actually watch like part 1 and part 2 back to back and make it a day of it in the way that I do with Lord of the Rings, when you make an entire weekend of watching the extended editions. I will say, I think that there is only one part to the Dune movies just in general, but more so in the second half, because I feel like we get a lot more of that in the second half, that I didn't necessarily enjoy as much. And it's not that, I guess maybe enjoy isn't the right word, but it just didn't have the payoff for me that I was looking for. And I think that this dislike is entirely subjective. It's going to be, how much you enjoy these people as a whole, where you are in life, kind of how you look at relationships. But the only downside to the part 2 of Dune that I saw is that I just didn't necessarily buy the relationship aspect between Zendaya and Timothée Chalamet. It just didn't quite hit for me. Even though there are, sequences, there are like kissing scenes and things where you can tell that they're romantically involved, there are not very many of them. It's a very resigned kind of a relationship. But even so, even in the moments where they are more intimate with one another, and I don't necessarily mean intimate as in like, dirty scenes or anything like that, but I mean intimate in the way that you would be with a partner, it didn't necessarily portray for me on screen the way that I had hoped to see it. And that is my only gripe about it, is that I just didn't necessarily feel the chemistry between the two of them, which in the grand scheme of what Dune is overall, and just the incredible work that Villeneuve and everyone involved did here, is a minor. It's like a pinch of a thing. I think Austin Butler did absolutely amazing as Feyd-Rautha. Like, just everything was incredible. Everything was really great. Rebecca Ferguson, oh my God, getting to see her and her costuming, like specifically, was just amazing. Like her rise into everything. And Dune, of course, is just one of those stories, not necessarily of an anti-hero, but just like how dark things can become if you have just unwavering faith towards someone, and I'm very excited to kind of see where Villeneuve goes with the remaining books, and if he gets to do like the entire series. I would love to see that. I don't know if he plans to just stop at Dune Messiah or if he will carry forward doing the rest of them. I hope he does. Man, I gotta tell you, I went in expecting something good. I did not go in expecting just the visual eye candy that was presented there. It was just unbelievable to see. I very much want to see them back to back and get the whole experience of like the full story. That I think will be an incredible thing to experience. I think it just is outstanding. I would highly recommend. Of course, anybody who loves Dune does not need my recommendation to go see it, but outstanding. Just 10 out of 10. Even my little gripe on like the relationship aspect between the main characters, again, like I said, tiny in comparison. I don't even think it's something that really is that big of a deal at the end of the day. So highly recommend. I would really love to know what you guys think. Leave me comments if you're on YouTube. I would love to know what you guys thought of the second part of Dune. Subscribe if you want to join the Movie Nerd family, and I hope to see you in the next episode.